The shuttle doors hissed open, spilling pale light across the polished floor of the alien research station. Daniel's boots clicked as he stepped inside, echoing faintly in the cavernous chamber. The walls were translucent, shifting with bioluminescent veins like the heartbeat of the station itself, pulsing in rhythm with some unknown core energy. He swallowed. Not out of fear. Well, maybe a little, but mostly out of the recognition that this room, this meeting, was about as comfortable as a zero-gravity skydive while juggling plasma orbs. At the far end of the chamber, she waited. Princess Velara, human enough to be disarming, alien enough to unsettle. Her skin glowed faintly, ivory with hints of pearlescent shimmer, and her long ears swept gracefully past her hair, framing eyes that were sharp, calculating, and amused. The long silver braid that fell over her shoulder contrasted with the dark uniform trimmed with faintly glowing sigils, a combination of elegance and authority. She tilted her head slightly, watching him enter, lips curved in a hint of that smile that promised both danger and amusement. "Ah, the human arrives," she said, her voice lilting, melodic, almost teasing. "I trust the trip was tolerable." Daniel straightened, puffing out his chest in a comically heroic manner, though he doubted it sold him any dignity. "I survived the airlock turbulence, the greeting committee, and your intimidating aura. I'd say that's a solid A for the shuttle ride." Velara raised a slender eyebrow. "Impressive. Most humans don't last 5 minutes under the aura alone." He grinned. "Well, I make a habit of surprising my hosts." His hand twitched toward the satchel at his side, the one carrying the small, securely sealed vial labeled with symbols he didn't understand. Symbols that somehow made his stomach tighten in a way that wasn't entirely rational. The princess's eyes glimmered. "And you bring my gift with you, or are you here simply to witness history?" He held the vial out carefully. "Both, perhaps. I've heard rumors, dangerous rumors, but I am nothing if not courageous or stubborn, mostly stubborn." Velara chuckled softly, a sound like wind through crystal corridors. "Stubbornness is a useful trait. Perhaps the only one that makes humans tolerable." She stepped aside, gesturing toward a small platform at the center of the chamber, where an array of delicate crystalline instruments floated, suspended by magnetic fields. "Place it there. Do not drop it. Not yet, anyway." Daniel set the vial down, his palms tingling with the faint hum of the energy surrounding it. The liquid inside swirled with iridescent colors that seemed alive, ripples of blue and violet dancing like liquid stars. Even at a distance, he could feel it, magnetic, intoxicating, and somehow inviting. Velara stepped forward, the long lines of her form catching the light, casting shifting patterns across the chamber floor. "You understand, of course, that this is not simply a beverage. It is an elixir, crafted from the rarest elements of my homeworld and with a purpose that has, historically, been fatal to those who do not respect it." Daniel raised his hands in mock surrender. "Oh, I fully understand. It's lethal, legendary, probably smells faintly of doom. But don't worry, I'm a professional at avoiding doom, mostly." The princess's lips quirked in amusement. "We shall see." She gestured, and a soft blue field enveloped the platform, raising the vial slightly. Tiny energy tendrils danced around it, protective, delicate, precise. "One sip, observe its effects, and remember, the elixir does not forgive carelessness. It is a test, and I do not administer tests lightly." Daniel took a breath, feeling the weight of both choice and curiosity pressing against him. He uncorked the vial, the scent curling into his senses, a mixture of sharp alien flora, subtle minerals, and something almost sweet beneath it. He hesitated only a second. "Well, here goes nothing." The liquid touched his tongue. Immediately the world shifted. Colors sharpened, sound clarified, the faint hum of the station systems layered into a symphony he had never noticed before. He blinked, startled to realize he could perceive the minute vibrations in the platform, the gentle sway of the chamber's walls, even the faint pulse in Velara's wrist as she watched him. His body felt lighter, more aware, as though each nerve ending had been tuned like a fine instrument. Velara's eyes glittered. "Interesting, very interesting. You respond quickly. Most humans crumble." Daniel staggered slightly, blinking rapidly. "Yeah, I feel sharper, stronger. Wait, is it supposed to feel like someone just hit the fast-forward button on reality?" She smiled softly. "Not fast-forward, clarity, awareness, balance. A heightened connection to the world, and to me." Daniel coughed nervously, then laughed. "Connection to you? Great, because I was worried my first exposure would be boring. Nothing says human survival like bonding to an alien princess over a possibly lethal drink." Valera tilted her head, amusement in her gaze. You have a sense of humor, perhaps that will make this tolerable. He glanced at the swirling liquid inside the vial. Already a faint pull drew him back, subtle, insistent. Strength, focus, awareness, but also something else, something quietly addictive. He shook his head. Okay, note to self, survive first, figure out why I can't stop noticing this stuff second. The princess's smile widened just slightly. You may survive longer than expected, human. That was unwise, and yet intriguing. Daniel muttered under his breath, I'll take intriguing over exploding any day. Valera raised an eyebrow, amused, as she gestured toward a console projecting alien schematics. Watch carefully. This is only the beginning. Your reactions will tell me more than you realize, and the elixir has ways of revealing truths you cannot yet see. He leaned in, peering at the glowing displays, already aware that the test was far from over. His senses buzzed, his thoughts raced, and he realized with a mix of fear and exhilaration that he had no idea where this journey would lead. But he was inexplicably ready for it. And as he glanced at the princess, long ears catching the faint light, he thought, maybe surviving a deadly elixir was the easiest part. The chamber hummed, the elixir pulsed, and the story had only just begun. Daniel awoke to the faint hum of the station, the lights shifting in gentle pulses across the walls. His head throbbed slightly, not unpleasantly, more like the lingering echo of an overtuned instrument. The elixir's effects were already manifesting, even hours after that first sip. Colors felt sharper, sounds more layered, and he could almost feel the subtle vibrations of the station itself beneath his feet. He rolled over, blinking at the pale light that filtered through the translucent walls, and muttered, Okay, human, this is officially the weirdest hangover in galactic history. Princess Valera appeared at the entrance, her long ears catching the light hair falling in perfect, impossible silver waves over her shoulders. Her eyes glimmered with amusement. You survived the night. Most humans do not. Daniel sat up, trying to appear heroic while failing spectacularly. I may be human, but I am nothing if not stubborn, or lucky, or maybe both, probably both. She stepped closer, a fluid, elegant motion, and Daniel felt the subtle pull of the elixir again, this time stronger like a magnetic tether. He frowned. Not going to lie, that drink's already messing with my brain chemistry. I feel tuned in, hyper-aware, maybe too aware. Valera smiled faintly. Good, that is exactly the point. The elixir reveals connections, patterns, tendencies you would otherwise overlook, and in certain cases it fosters cooperation. But also dependency. He raised a skeptical brow. Dependency, that's encouraging. Her lips quirked. Take it as a challenge, not a warning. Humans are surprisingly adaptable. By now, Daniel had fully recovered from the initial surge of the elixir. His reflexes felt honed, his thoughts organized in ways he had never experienced. He found himself watching Valera not just for her instructions, but for every minuscule gesture, the lift of a brow, the subtle twitch of a finger, the tiny shift in her stance. He noted, almost humorously, that her expression when amused resembled a predator mildly entertained by an insect, which made him both nervous and oddly intrigued. She gestured to a console projecting a holographic map of the surrounding systems. Today, we begin the real test. You will navigate this sector with me. Observe, anticipate, and respond. The elixir will enhance your perception, but it cannot replace judgment. Daniel glanced at the map, then back at her. Judgment, huh? That's funny. I was beginning to suspect I was about to become a walking autopilot. Valera's eyes sparkled. Autopilot rarely survives in these sectors. Your decisions must be your own, though, of course, influenced by the elixir. They boarded a sleek scout vessel, its hull shimmering with adaptive alloys that reacted to the station's energy field. Daniel's hands hovered over the controls, his muscles remembering motions he had never learned, guided by the subtle awareness the elixir provided. He marveled at the display. Streams of data converged into patterns he could interpret intuitively. Stars, gravity wells, minor debris clusters, all made sense in a way they hadn't before. He fumbled with the comms, accidentally broadcasting a private joke. If we hit one more graviton spike, I'm declaring war on space itself. Valera's laughter, soft and musical, echoed in the cockpit. Space is undefeated, human. You should learn humility. Humility, he repeated, mock groaning. I'll pencil that in right after surviving this elixir. As they navigated the asteroid field near a rogue mining colony, the elixir's effects became more pronounced. Daniel could anticipate the movement of each rock, calculate velocity and trajectory almost instinctively. He dodged with ease, and even managed a quip when the ship's hull groaned. Well, I suppose I'll finally get to brag about surviving space debris, with style. Valera's eyes tracked him, her smile faint. You are learning quickly, faster than I anticipated. But also slower than I'd like in terms of remembering my humanity, he muttered, rubbing his temples. I swear I just nearly calculated my own death probability for fun. Better to calculate than to be unprepared, she said smoothly, but there was amusement in her gaze. The elixir enhances perception, yes, but it also tests willpower. You are beginning to understand both. They landed near the mining colony, a jagged cluster of metallic structures jutting from the moon's surface. The inhabitants were wary, alien in form, but humanoid enough to recognize intent. Daniel noticed subtle cues in their behavior, tiny shifts in posture, the dilation of their eyes, micro-gestures of hand positioning. He whispered under his breath, I don't know if this is superhuman intuition or just me slowly turning into a walking scanner. Valera's presence beside him reminded him of the bond forming, the pull of the elixir, the tether between them, subtle and almost imperceptible. He shook his head. Note to self. Surviving the elixir isn't just about physical endurance. It's about surviving fascination. The mission required them to negotiate, assess risk, and navigate potential threats, all under the watchful glow of the alien sky. Daniel found himself predicting outcomes with a clarity that was both exhilarating and alarming. Every decision he made was influenced subtly by the elixir, yet his instincts, sharpened and honed, guided him in ways the drink could not dictate. At one point, a minor skirmish broke out with rogue miners attempting to hack the colony's power grid. Daniel's enhanced reflexes allowed him to react almost instinctively, diverting energy flows and issuing orders with precision. Between commands, he muttered, If I survive this without tripping over my own heroism, I'm asking for a medal or at least a drink that doesn't talk back. Valera glanced at him, amused but approving. You adapt quickly, human. Perhaps faster than even I expected. By the time they returned to the station, Daniel felt both exhilarated and unnervingly dependent. The elixir had sharpened his mind, enhanced his body, and created a bond he didn't fully understand. Humor, sarcasm, and human stubbornness had kept him grounded, but he knew the path ahead would test him far more than asteroid fields and rogue miners ever could. Valera watched him disembark, her long ears catching the faint glow of the station's core. Tomorrow, she said softly, you will confront the true nature of the elixir, not just the power it gives, but the connection it creates. Are you ready for that? Daniel exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. Ready? I've been ready since I signed up to drink a potentially lethal potion offered by a galactic princess. What's a little more bonding? Her smile was faint, enigmatic. Bonding, human, can be far more dangerous than death. He shook his head, muttering under his breath as he followed her inside. Why does everything that makes me feel alive also make me feel like I'm walking a cosmic tightrope? And somewhere deep in the station's energy hum, the elixir pulsed, waiting. The next morning, Daniel awoke with a start, the ambient glow of the station's core washing the room in pale blue. His body felt lighter, his mind buzzing with clarity, as if the elixir had unlocked some latent circuitry inside him. He swung his legs over the edge of the bed and muttered, Well, I've officially leveled up without asking for it. Princess Valera waited at the end of the corridor, hands clasped behind her back, eyes flicking toward him with that precise mixture of curiosity and amusement. You've acclimated faster than expected, she said, her voice like a soft hum against the metal walls. Most humans are still arguing with gravity by now. Daniel stumbled slightly as he tried to bow, catching himself on a railing. Ah, yes, gravity and I have complicated history, but today I think I can negotiate peace. He glanced at her, forcing a grin. Negotiation is easier when you're not tripping over your own legs. Valera's lips quirked in a faint smile. I'll take your humor as a sign of survival instinct, that's promising. She gestured toward a nearby shuttle. We depart for the orbital research platform. There is work to be done. As they boarded, Daniel noticed the subtle hum in the shuttle's hull, alien alloys shifting slightly to accommodate their combined weight. The cockpit projected streams of data in holographic layers, and Daniel's enhanced perception allowed him to intuitively parse the information. So you're telling me I can now read star charts like they're children's storybooks? He asked, tapping the controls. In a sense, Valera replied, The elixir heightens pattern recognition. You may see threads invisible to normal human perception. You may also notice consequences before they occur. He frowned at her words. Consequences? Oh, that's just what I needed, anticipating doom ahead of schedule. She raised an eyebrow. Humor will serve you well. It will keep your mind agile. They reached the platform, a floating lattice of crystalline structures, pulsating with energy and faintly echoing with a frequency Daniel couldn't fully identify. The task at hand was deceptively simple. Stabilize the platform's energy core while alien technicians monitored fluctuations. Simple, except the core's rhythm was subtle, alien, and temperamental, reacting to both physical and emotional energy in the room. Daniel approached the console, hands hovering over the interface. He took a deep breath and whispered to himself, "Okay, just don't touch the wrong button and accidentally vaporize a research outpost." He scanned the energy flows, following the patterns that leapt across his awareness. Already, he could feel the subtle tug of the elixir linking him to the princess, to the station, to the core itself. Valera watched him closely, her long ears angled slightly forward. "You feel it," she said softly. "The connection, it is not just chemical, it is symbiotic. You influence it, it influences you. And you, human, are beginning to navigate it." Daniel shook his head. "Navigate it? I can barely navigate my breakfast choices without the elixir, and now I'm supposed to babysit a crystal superstructure that thinks it's alive." She laughed lightly, a sound that reverberated through the control room. "The elixir forces clarity, but it also tests adaptability. Humor will help keep your mind from becoming too rigid." He followed the streams of energy with precision, his fingers dancing across the interface. He made adjustments, predicting fluctuations in the core's resonance before the system could even register them. Sparks of color, blue, violet, faint gold, danced across the crystalline panels. One small miscalculation and the energy would destabilize. His heart jumped. "No pressure," he muttered. Valera's eyes glimmered. "You are doing well. You are learning control. Not mastery, but control is the first step." Daniel blinked, then muttered under his breath, "Control, yes, the thing I've been chasing since the elixir started rewiring my nervous system. I'm basically a wired-up, caffeinated human alarm system now." A sudden spike in the core's energy caused the lights to flicker. Daniel instinctively reacted, redirecting energy flows, and the spike dissipated. "Ha! Did you see that? I almost destroyed the entire platform, and oh wait, I didn't. Success." He looked at Valera, grinning despite himself. "High five, or, long alien awkward bow." Valera allowed herself a small, almost imperceptible laugh. "You amuse me, human, but the elixir is not done with you yet. Its influence grows with each task, each decision. You must remain aware." Daniel rubbed his neck. "Aware, right. I feel like I'm juggling quantum probabilities with a side of self-inflicted chaos. Totally manageable." Hours passed. The tasks became increasingly complex, requiring him to anticipate the subtle interactions between alien technology and elixir-enhanced perception. At one point, he accidentally triggered a minor security protocol, sending a holographic warning swarm into the chamber. "Ah, brilliant, Daniel. Nothing like accidentally announcing your presence to every automated defense system in the sector," he muttered. Valera raised an eyebrow, though her smile hinted at amusement. "You handled it well. The elixir enhances reflexes, but it also reveals character under pressure. And you, human, are resilient and oddly clever." By the end of the day, Daniel was exhausted but exhilarated. The elixir had drawn him into a subtle bond with the princess and the station itself, a tether he didn't fully understand. His mind was sharper, his body more coordinated, and his humor remained intact, barely. As they returned to the station, Daniel glanced at Valera. "So, tomorrow, we tackle what? Alien diplomacy while juggling energy cores." I have to say my resume just keeps getting weirder. Valera's smile was faint but approving. "Tomorrow, you will confront the full influence of the elixir, its strengths, its risks, and the connection it forges. Are you prepared to face more than just physical challenges?" Daniel groaned, muttering, "Prepared. I survived the asteroid field, rogue miners, and a near-death quantum spike. How much more prepared does one human need to be?" Valera's laughter followed him down the corridor. "You will learn, and perhaps you will also learn restraint." Daniel grinned wryly. "Restraint, sure. I'll pencil that in between surviving interstellar insanity and trying not to become addicted to whatever magic potion you keep brewing." The elixir pulsed faintly in the background, almost aware, almost impatient. And Daniel knew that tomorrow would push him deeper, into dependency, clarity, and the subtle, intoxicating bond with the alien princess that was beginning to define his every thought. The next morning, Daniel found himself sitting cross-legged on the floor of the observation deck, staring at the swirling nebula outside the station's wide viewports. The elixir hummed faintly in his veins, a constant reminder of the bond forming between him and Princess Velara. He flexed his fingers, feeling the subtle twitch of his enhanced awareness, and muttered, "If this keeps up, I'm going to start reading star charts in my sleep and calculating the trajectory of space dust for fun." Velara appeared in the doorway, the long lines of her form catching the ambient light, her ears angled in that almost predatory, almost playful way that always made him feel simultaneously nervous and curious. "You are early," she said, voice smooth as silk. "Most humans are still arguing with the concept of morning." Daniel grinned, rubbing the back of his neck. "Morning is for the weak, princess. I've been drinking alien elixirs and deciphering nebula patterns. I feel practically unstoppable." Her lips curved in a small smile. "Unstoppable is a dangerous mindset. But you are learning to control the elixir's influence, which is impressive." He raised a brow. "Control, yes, that's my middle name these days. Well, if middle names counted as life-or-death survival skills." She gestured toward a shuttle waiting on the docking pad. "We depart for the garden module. Today your task is subtler: observation, patience, and a very delicate negotiation." Daniel blinked. "Garden module. You mean we're leaving asteroid dodging and rogue miners behind to look at flowers?" Velara's eyes glittered. "The flora here is no ordinary vegetation. They are genetically engineered to respond to energy fields, emotional resonance, and subtle neural signals. You will observe, understand, and interact without overwhelming them. Consider it a test of precision and restraint." Daniel groaned dramatically. Precision and restraint. "I'll pencil that in between surviving a deadly elixir and not dying in zero gravity." "Got it." The shuttle hummed as it detached from the station, gliding smoothly through space. Daniel could already feel the elixir's influence amplifying his awareness of the vessel, the gravitational currents, even the faint electromagnetic vibrations of nearby asteroids. It was intoxicating, the way his body felt tuned to the universe, yet he kept a running commentary to preserve his sanity. "I swear my life has become a blend of meditation, chemistry experiment, and bad sci-fi movie. Somehow I'm surviving all three." They arrived at the garden module, a floating sphere of crystalline glass and soft, luminescent light. Inside, alien plants of every imaginable color and shape swayed gently, responding to subtle energy flows. Daniel inhaled the scent, sharp, sweet, and tangy all at once. It made his head spin in the best possible way. Velara stepped beside him. "The plants respond to presence, to intent. Touch too forcefully and they recoil. Approach incorrectly and they resist. Observe carefully. Your connection to the elixir will help guide your interactions." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "So, it's like dating but with alien flora?" Velara allowed herself a brief laugh. "In a manner of speaking, precision and patience, control and subtle influence. Are you capable?" "I am," he said, though his voice wavered slightly. "Mostly because I have no other choice if I want to stay alive and reasonably sane." He extended a hand toward a violet-tinted plant whose tendrils shimmered faintly with energy. The tendrils sensed his approach and curved gracefully, brushing lightly against his fingers. A jolt of sensation shot through him, electric, alive, almost sentient. "Okay, wow," he muttered, stepping back. "This one's polite but also mildly terrifying." Velara watched silently, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "Notice the feedback? It mirrors your focus, your thoughts, your intent. The elixir enhances perception, but understanding comes from you." Daniel nodded, though inwardly he was panicking slightly. "My intent right now. Please don't electrocute me or fling me across the module. That's my intent." The plant pulsed in response, and he realized it wasn't responding to fear, it was sensing engagement. Curiosity, subtle control, humor. He laughed softly. "I guess it likes sarcasm. Good, that makes two of us." Velara's ears twitched, a sign he had come to recognize as amusement. Humor is a survival trait. You are learning to balance elixir-enhanced perception with human unpredictability. That is progress. As the day continued, Daniel moved from plant to plant, guided by instinct, observation, and the elixir's subtle whispers in his bloodstream. He discovered which tendrils reacted to thought, which leaves were sensitive to touch, and which plants required indirect influence through energy fields rather than direct contact. It was dizzying, thrilling and exhausting. At one point, he'd been living on Elixir-enhanced caffeine, alien judgment, and sarcasm. If that isn't preparation, I don't know what is. Valera's smile lingered as she turned toward the exit. You will learn, human, and the elixir will teach you. Whether you like it or not. Daniel watched her leave, feeling the subtle pull of the elixir again. Tomorrow, he knew, would push him farther than today, farther than anything he had imagined. And somewhere deep in the crystalline energy of the garden module, the elixir pulsed, alive and patient, waiting for him to take the next step. The morning was quiet, almost impossibly so. Daniel stood on the observation deck, the elixir pulsing softly in his veins, each beat a reminder of everything he had learned, and everything he had yet to face. Today was not about plants, star charts, or even navigating alien technology. Today was about the culmination of every risk, every lesson, every fleeting spark of humor and human ingenuity that had carried him this far. Princess Valera appeared behind him, her long ears catching the soft light from the nebula outside. The time has come, she said. The final test of your connection to the elixir and your understanding of its bond. Daniel twisted around, giving her a mock salute. Final test, huh? So no pressure. Just our lives, sanity, and possibly the fate of this entire station hanging in the balance. Valera allowed herself a faint smile. Precisely, and yet you face it with humor. That is what will serve you best. The shuttle to the orbital research hub was waiting. As they traveled, Daniel's mind raced through everything he had experienced. The subtle addictive pull of the elixir, the alien flora responding to his every thought, the delicate dance of energy cores, the countless near misses that had somehow become lessons. He realized that the elixir had not merely enhanced his abilities. It had forced him to confront his instincts, to sharpen his perception, and to find trust in the most improbable places, including the alien princess who had become both guide and constant enigma. When they arrived, the research hub loomed like a crystalline cathedral in orbit, energy streams arcing across its hull in a symphony of color. Valera led him inside, and Daniel immediately sensed the subtle hum of the elixir resonating with the hub's energy. The station seemed alive, responsive, and aware of them. You will interface with the central neural core, Valera instructed. It will test the elixir's influence and your ability to harmonize with alien systems. Any disruption could be catastrophic. Daniel nodded, already feeling the elixir's subtle push in his mind, urging him to focus, to anticipate, to become part of the system rather than merely an observer. Catastrophic, huh? Great, just another Tuesday. He approached the interface, palms hovering over the controls. The neural core pulsed with light, responding to his presence. Daniel took a deep breath and allowed the elixir to guide him, not with brute force but with subtlety. Patterns in the light emerged like constellations, each a thread connecting energy, intent, and possibility. He moved with careful precision, adjusting resonance frequencies, diffusing potential feedback loops, and redirecting flows before they could destabilize. Valera watched, expression unreadable. You are merging with it, human, not controlling, merging. That is the difference between failure and mastery. Daniel grinned despite the tension. So no pressure then. Just me and a hyper-intelligent alien neural network, buddying up. Hours passed. Sparks of color danced across the crystalline hub, threads of energy weaving into a tapestry that only Daniel could perceive and manipulate. At times, he almost lost himself in it, but the elixir's pull kept him tethered, keeping him aware of Valera, of his own body, of the fragile line between mastery and disaster. Finally, the core stabilized. The pulses of energy slowed, synchronized, and then expanded outward in a steady, harmonious rhythm. Daniel exhaled, muscles trembling but exhilarated. We did it, he whispered. I think we actually did it. Valera's lips curved into a small, approving smile. Indeed, the core responds fully not just to the elixir but to your intent. That is rare among humans. Daniel wiped sweat from his brow, grinning wryly. So apparently I'm rare now? Wonderful. I've always wanted a title other than terribly outmatched human. She allowed herself a brief laugh, the sound echoing softly through the hub. You have grown, Daniel. Not merely in skill, but in understanding. The elixir does not merely enhance, it teaches, and you have learned its lessons. He leaned back against the console, letting the relief wash over him. Learned, huh? I feel like I survived a month of alien therapy, combat training, and botanical psychology classes all at once. But yeah, I guess I've learned something. Valera approached, her long ears angled gently forward. Your humor remained intact, which is remarkable. Many succumb entirely to the elixir's intensity, losing their human essence. Daniel smirked. Human essence intact, check. Alien elixir not turning me into a supervillain, double check. Still able to complain, triple check. She stepped closer, and Daniel felt the subtle pull of the elixir again, more delicate now, more like a thread connecting them rather than a flood overtaking him. You understand the bond it forms, she said softly. You have embraced it, balanced it, and respected it. That is why it responded fully. You are no longer merely a subject, you are an equal participant. Daniel's chest tightened slightly. Equal participant, huh? Guess that means I get to keep my sarcasm and still save the universe. Valera's smile deepened. You may keep all that is human within you, and perhaps even more. For the first time, Daniel allowed himself to look at her fully, not just as guide or challenge, but as the person who had transformed his entire perspective on strength, trust, and partnership. The elixir had been dangerous, intoxicating, and demanding, but it had not changed who he was at his core. It had revealed it. He exhaled, feeling the tension leave his shoulders. Well, Princess, I survived the elixir, the plants, the energy cores, and your impeccable alien judgment. I think that deserves a medal, or at least a cup of something non-deadly. Valera laughed, a soft, genuine sound. Perhaps. But more importantly, you have earned something far rarer. Understanding, connection, and the knowledge that you can rise to challenges you never imagined. Daniel glanced out at the stars beyond the hub, colors shifting and glowing, the universe feeling both vast and intimate. Connection, huh? Guess I can live with that. As the elixir pulsed faintly, no longer a threat but a guide, Daniel felt the culmination of his journey settle into him. Stronger, wiser, still human, yet forever changed. And as Valera's eyes met his, he understood the truth of every lesson, every danger, every laugh and misstep along the way. The galaxy stretched out before them, full of possibilities, challenges, and strange, intoxicating connections. And Daniel, for the first time, felt ready to meet it all, elixir in his veins, humor intact, and the bond with an alien princess stronger than any weapon or machine. He smiled. Well, Princess, what's next? Valera's lips curved in that enigmatic smile that had haunted him, challenged him, and now inspired him. Now, she said, we see what we can build together. And for Daniel, the adventure was only just beginning. The morning light filtered through the crystal panes of the palace observatory, catching Valera's long ears in a halo of soft luminescence. Daniel rubbed his eyes, still half distracted by the elixir's lingering hum in his veins, a constant reminder of the bond that had been forged over weeks of impossible challenges. He could feel it pulsing beneath his skin, a gentle vibration that guided his movements, heightened his senses, and if he wasn't careful, threatened to consume him entirely. Valera stood beside him, her posture elegant but relaxed, a rare softness in her expression. Today, she said, we complete what we began. No test, no distractions, just truth. Will you face it? Daniel let out a breath, the kind that carried equal parts apprehension and humor. Face it, Princess, I've faced alien war armor, genetically modified plants that could probably eat me alive, and a room full of nervous admirals all judging my every move. If I survive this morning, I'll consider myself fully qualified as an interstellar diplomat/human guinea pig. She allowed herself a faint laugh, the sound like wind chimes over metal. Your humor remains intact despite everything. That is rare. He grinned, rare and slightly annoying, yes, but effective under pressure, I assure you. The observatory doors slid open, revealing a floating platform tethered to the palace's energy core. Daniel's eyes widened as he stepped onto it. The energy streams rippled like liquid light, a visual symphony that seemed almost alive. The elixir pulsed in resonance with the platform, reacting to his heart, his thoughts, even his breath. Valera gestured for him to follow. The core is not merely a machine. It is a sentient construct capable of reading intent, aligning with energy signatures, and testing the bonds it encounters. Your connection with the elixir will guide it, or destroy it if you falter. Daniel swallowed, feeling the familiar tingle of the elixir in his fingertips. Destroy it? Well, that's comforting. But I suppose if I've survived plants that judge my sarcasm, I can survive a glowing, floating, sentient energy core. How hard can it be? Valera's ears twitched, a subtle sign of amusement. You may underestimate its difficulty. Do not. The platform's surface shifted beneath him, responding to the energy that radiated from his body, the elixir amplifying his presence. He hesitated, then let himself move with its rhythm, his thoughts clear, his intent steady. The core's light pulsed faster, aligning with his heartbeat, a living mirror of his focus and determination. As he interacted, memories of the journey surged forward, the subtle guidance of Valera, the trials in the garden module, the tests of patience, humor, and perception. He realized then that the elixir had not merely enhanced him, it had taught him. It had forced him to see the universe with clarity, to trust, to act with precision, and to laugh even when the stakes were immeasurably high. A sudden surge of energy threatened to overwhelm the platform, and Daniel instinctively extended his hands, letting the elixir flow in harmony with the core. The sensation was intense, a full-body resonance that made the hairs on his arms stand on end. "Okay, wow," he muttered under his breath. "I'm officially one with the universe, or at least this flashy energy thing." Valera's voice rang in his ear, calm and commanding. "Do not let humor distract you. Focus on the bond, not the show." Daniel nodded, biting back a grin. Bond, not show, got it. He took a deep breath, channeling the elixir's influence with deliberate care, guiding the core's energy to stabilize, to synchronize, to resonate in perfect harmony. Sparks of light danced around him, threading through the air like liquid starlight. And then silence. The platform settled, the energy streams pulsed steadily, and the core glowed with a calm, harmonious light. Daniel exhaled, knees weak but triumphant. "I did it. I didn't implode. I didn't even make the energy core cry." Valera's expression softened, admiration clear in her gaze. "You have succeeded where many would fail. Not because of the elixir alone, but because you learned to balance, to observe, and to act with humanity intact. That is rare, Daniel. That is extraordinary." He wiped sweat from his brow, still catching his breath. Humanity intact, check. Survived elixir, check. Made a glowing sentient core behave, check. Guess I'm officially qualified as intergalactic hero/energy whisperer. Valera's lips curved in the faintest smile. "You are more than a hero. You are a partner, a mind capable of growth, and a presence the elixir itself respects." Daniel felt a warmth spread through him, not from the elixir, but from the recognition, the completion, the culmination of everything he had endured. He looked at Valera, her long ears angled forward, her eyes bright with pride and something deeper, almost tender. "So, what now?" She stepped closer, the elixir pulsing faintly between them, a subtle bridge of energy and trust. "Now we move forward, together. There will be challenges, dangers, and discoveries, but you have grown. You have learned to trust yourself, to embrace the bond, and to face the unknown with courage and humor." Daniel laughed softly, a sound of relief and accomplishment. "Courage and humor, huh? I think I can handle that, especially with a princess teaching me alien chemistry, plant diplomacy, and energy core whispering." Valera allowed herself a full smile, rare and luminous. "Indeed, and you will continue to learn, human, not just from the elixir, but from everything it has revealed about yourself and about the universe." Daniel gazed out at the stars, the vast expanse of the galaxy stretching before him, filled with possibility. The elixir still pulsed, but now it felt like an ally, not a master. He had survived, grown, and become something new. A bridge between worlds, a testament to human resilience, and a companion to an alien princess whose power, wisdom, and enigma had changed him forever. He turned to Valera, a playful grin tugging at his lips. "Well, princess, shall we see what else the universe has in store, preferably without near-death experiences this time?" Her laugh was soft and melodic. "We shall see, Daniel."